Good afternoon, everyone. We are here today to talk about making interactive activities to make your remote or independent learning a little bit more engaging for our students. And we're going to talk about strategies that specifically use the Google tools, things that are already built into Google, like Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Drawings, things like that, that are readily available to us in the district. So I do have some slides and I'm going to share my screen. I'll stop periodically just to see if anybody has any questions about the things that we've gone over. As you can see, there are 9 topics that we're going to talk about today. Some of them will go through a little bit faster than others based on the interest of the group, but there are video tutorials as well as some website links embedded into each of the different slides to kind of help you along if that's something you need some more guidance on. So, sharing my screen. Oops. Here we go. All right, so back to the beginning. Again, the link to the presentation is at the top if you want to follow along on your own screen, or you can just follow along with me. As I've said before, when you're sharing slides, usually it's easier to share in the edit frame as opposed to the present frame. In the present frame, the buttons are down here at the bottom and tend to get covered up by your Zoom toolbars. So when I'm presenting with Zoom, I tend to keep it just in the edit frame so that I can scroll through a little bit easier. So again, here are the 9 topics that we're going to be talking about today. And the first one is turning your paper worksheets or even your digital PDF worksheets onto an online worksheet where the kids can type directly into them. And the way you do that, it's kind of straightforward if you know what these things are. So the first thing you're going to need to do is to take a screenshot of your page. And what that means is you open up your PDF or you take a picture of your paper worksheet. And on the computer, you're going to use the screenshot tool. If you're on your school issued computer, it's called the snipping tool. And you can search for that in the search bar in the lower left-hand corner. If you're on a Mac, I know there's a shortcut, you can Google it. I forget what this shortcut specifically is. It's something with the Apple button. And if you're on a Chromebook, it is Control Shift, and then there's a button at the top. It looks like a square with a couple lines after it. So each machine is a little bit different. So you just need to find out what the process is for your machine, but you're either going to take a picture. What is that, Celeste?
I'm just going to tell you, if it's an Apple, it's Shift Command 4.
There you go. Thank you so much. I knew you'd have the answer to that one. So you take your screenshot of your page, it saves it as a picture, and then what you're going to do is you're going to open up slides. You're going to change the alignment of your page. So you're going to go to the page setup and you're going to change the orientation so that it's more of the 8.5 by 11 setup. You can do that right there in the settings. You then insert your screenshot or your picture as the background of your slides, meaning that nobody can change it, nobody can move things around, they can't drag it off the slide if they want to. When it's embedded as the background, it's not movable or changeable. You then place your text boxes on top of the places that you want the students to type. And a lot of teachers have found that they use text tricks to alert the students where they want them to type. They'll fill in the text box with a special color. They'll have it say, type your answer here. Some teachers who say the students forget to erase the text, put like 2 stars, 2 asterisks in the box, so then it's not as interfering as type your answer here, and then the kids just start typing, they forget to delete it. So they put the 2 asterisks so that if the kids forget to delete it, it's just 2 asterisks. It's not that big of a deal. So you can use any of those little tricks. There's tons of videos out there on how to do this. Tons of blog posts by other teachers of little tricks and time savers that they've used to do this. I've linked a video directly into the slide. We're not going to watch it here together. I figure you guys can watch the video on your own time to kind of get the step-by-step process of it. And of course, if you have any questions about any of these specific steps, please, when we get to the end of the session and we've gone through them all, we can talk through them a little bit more in depth. But that's basically it. You take a worksheet that's already created. You get a picture of it either digitally or with your phone or your iPad. You put it into the background of the slide and you put your text boxes where you want the kids to put their answers. So that's it for making digital worksheets. And then the next one is drag and drop activities. So things where you want the kids to manipulate the screen. If you want them to put something in an order, or you want them to count something out, or you want them to move word tiles or letter tiles around on the screen. Again, there's a video linked right here, but basically you're going to create your background image, or you're going to find one on the internet that you like and you can upload it. Again, you're going to make it a background. You're not going to just put a picture on your slide. You're going to put your pieces that you want moved onto the slide, and that's it. You just have pieces, pictures that get drawn all over the screen. If you're going to use letters, words, or numbers that you want to be static, that the kids can't change, you want to create those as an image. You can either screenshot something from your screen, like we did in the previous example, or you can create them using Google Drawing, where you put a text box in Google Drawing, you type in the words that you want them to do, each one as its own file, and then you download that file as an image, and then each of those is an image that you then insert into your slides. In this particular video, she talks about how to do that specifically and shows you how to do that. She also has a blog post, which I didn't post separately, but it is linked in her YouTube description of this video. She has a really great blog post about how to do that. And then one more before we take a break, we're going to talk about choice boards and learning menus. So these offer different ways for students to practice and to show mastery of skills. So some teachers use them for the product that the students turn in. Some teachers use them for the process of the different activities that they're going to do to learn the skills. Choice boards tend to be a little simpler, similar to like a tic-tac-toe board or a bingo board, where the students are responsible for completing a certain number of activities or a certain number of points, where each different activity is assigned a different amount of points, so they have to add up. And the more points it's worth, the more difficult the activity, that type of a thing. Learning menus tend to be a little more comprehensive, where they take a broader topic and they break the topic into smaller sections. So the whole learning menu might be about fractions, but you might have a section that's about adding fractions. You might have a section that's about lowest common denominator. You might have another section that's about equal fractions. And the students are then, again, responsible for completing a certain number of activities from each section, similar to putting together a 4-course meal. You want them to pull enough stuff from each section to show a well-roundedness in that particular concept. So when you're putting these together, you want to find different activities. You don't want everything to be drag and drop activities. You don't want everything to be fill in worksheets. You don't want everything to be watch this video. You want to kind of mix it up so that the kids get a little bit of everything. ABC, a lot of teachers use those when they put this together, which has great websites. This is primarily pre-K to 5, although some of the activities might be applicable to middle school. But there's no tracking. We don't have a subscription to ABCS, so there's no tracking of who completed what or what their score was or any of that kind of stuff. It's simply there just for practice. Within your choice boards or menus, you can embed links to your own Google stuff, your own files. You can also link to things that are saved in your Google Drive. So videos that you found that are directly in your Google Drive. Anything in your Google Drive can get a link, and you can get that link and put it into your menu or your board. You can also use websites and resources and videos that are all over the internet. So if you're doing math and you have some IXL stuff you want to use, great. If you have some Quizlet activities you want to use, great. If you have Newsella or ReadWorks stuff going on, all of that is directly embeddable into this kind of a stuff. So again, there's a video. She goes over the process of how to actually build them. And then right here, there's an example. Where's my mouse? When you click on this link, it takes you to an example. This one came from, can you guys see this screen as it loads? We good? Celeste, you got it? All right, great. So I did a school visit with a school district, actually my home school district, Norton. They do a really great job integrating technology. They recently went 1-to-1 in 4th grade up. So the kids get their Chromebooks, they take them home. But I just visited a couple of teachers there to see what they were doing. And what they did is, this was chapter 8 and 9 of their math curriculum, fractions, decimals, adding and subtracting fractions. So they broke apart what the kids were expected to do, what the topic was, the link to the activity. So all of these were IXL activities. These were different videos that they were expected to watch. They were visualizing it. So there's some vocabulary stuff up here. They do have a subscription to that. We don't as a district. They have some brain pop stuff, some different videos going on. Then they have a whole section for games that related specifically to this topic. They had an online skill practice, so their math curriculum was linked online, so they actually do their math workbook online. They had a solve it that they had to do when they were working with a partner. Some more games. These were things that they were supposed to play with each other. These were in the classroom games. So these weren't digital activities. These were things that were in the classroom that they were expected to complete during their math time. This is Math Online. This is a great website. These were links directly to those activities. They had a Show What You Know. So these were links to Jognog, which was another subscription that they had in their district. And then they had an extension activity. So they had all different ways the kids were supposed to do all of this. They were not, there were expectations in the classroom. It wasn't marked on this document. I asked how much they were supposed to do. So for IXL, they were expected to do all of it because that was their practice. But in the other sections, they didn't have to do, for example, they didn't have to watch all of these videos. I think she said they had to pick like 4 or 5 that they watched. So there were expectations of how much they were supposed to do within each section. Let me move my bar. I'm going to stop sharing. Anybody have any questions so far?
I do, Sarah.
Sure, go for it.
Pam. So you were just showing us that menu. Is that supposed to be for like a week long? Like how long is that?
So that was a unit. That was 2 chapters of a math curriculum. I'm trying to remember when I went. I think I went in November. And I think she said that was probably a month's worth of work, because in addition to that, there was some daily stuff that they did in the classroom, some slides, some whole group stuff, you know, some quizzes, assessments, things like that. So I think that was a month's worth of work. And these were older kids. These were 5th graders. So it's not like you were handing a 2nd grader, here's your work for the next month, go for it. This was also something that they were already in November. They had had these Chromebooks since the beginning of the year. They had an expectation and they had a process in place of what the kids were supposed to do with these menus.
And so with that menu, for instance, that was online. It wasn't like, how are they clicking off that how are they checking that they did it?
So this is all digital. So there's a done column and they would just put an X in there. And then this was distributed to the kids through Google Classroom. So then the teachers could go into their Google Classroom even before they turned it in. And when you click on the assignment, you get those little thumbnails of the kids' assignments, so they could just do a quick perusal of who was actively working. This particular cohort of teachers ran their math group like workshops. So they did have those conferencing times and those meeting times with the kids where they could check in and see if they were making progress, if they were stuck, that kind of a thing.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, Celeste.
2 questions. So they would have sent that document out via Google Classroom, make a copy of it, everybody gets it.
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
Second question was, I'm not familiar with the ABCs. I just wondered, is that what you said before?
The ABC, yeah?
I have no idea.
So ABC is a website. It's well known with the younger,
littles.
yeah,
Right.
the littles. Pre-K to 5 is what it's geared towards.
But what are the words you're saying?
So the website itself is ABC Ya, Y-A. So ABC, like see ya. So it's a bunch of interactive games. They break them down by letters, numbers, math. It's great. Go play. It's a lot of fun.
I want to see if there's anything I can apply to help.
There very well could be. They do have a search bar. Yeah, they have a search bar. So you could type in different stuff. They have a bunch of like body care and like, you know, taking care of yourself, brushing teeth, all that kind of stuff. So they might have something that would work for your kiddos.
ABC.
Laugh at it, but it would definitely get their attention. Yep, I'll put a link in the chat.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have one more question, Sarah.
Please.
When you were talking about making the worksheets interactive,
Yes, ma'am.
you were saying you take a picture of it or so I don't know how to do a screenshot.
That's
like,
okay.
On my PC.
Okay, so is it your school computer?
On my laptop.
Your school one, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll share my screen and I'll show you the steps. And then I also have a link that goes through how to do it. So give me 1 sec. All right, so what you're gonna do, let's say for example, I wanted to screenshot this page that we just talked about.
Yeah.
I would go down here, I gotta move my stuff. I go down here to where it says type here to search. you're gonna type snip. I know.
Oh, okay, this, yeah, you had mentioned this, the snippet
Yep.
tool. Sorry, I thought before that you had to do something, but can
Nope,
you
so the
still
snipping
walk through
tool-
it?
Yep, so the snipping tool is taking a screenshot. So when
Okay.
it pops up, it'll be an app and you click on it. It's a little slow. My computer's been very slow lately. Where are you? There it goes. Okay, so I'm gonna tell it that I wanna make a new snip. And my screen's gonna go kind of dark. And then I just kind of drag the cursor where I wanna take a picture of. And it literally takes a picture of it, opens it in a window, and then I can say I wanna save it, I wanna copy it, I wanna draw on top of it, I can do whatever I want to it. But now I have a picture of this and I can do whatever I want to it. I can put it on a slide by itself. I can throw it into a tutorial. I can email it to someone and say, this is what I was talking about when I couldn't get it to work. But now this is a picture on my computer.
Okay, so I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I need the specific, I get that, I'm dragging it. And if I want to put it in a slide, what do I need to do first? Do I need to save it or?
Yep, so you're gonna wanna save it and give it a name.
Okay.
And then when you're in your slide, you're gonna click on the background button.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And then you're gonna go where it says choose image and you're gonna find that picture that you just saved.
Okay, so you save it, name it, and then you go to your slide.
Yep.
And you click on
Go to
background.
background.
Okay, that's
and
exactly
choose
the
image.
step that I needed. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Let me stop sharing. Anybody else before we move on? Okay, I'm going to continue screen sharing and move on to the next type of activity. So next we have hidden words and answer reveal. Now these are really cool. They take a little bit of foresight and a little bit of work to get going in the beginning, but basically the kids use a digital tool. The most common is a magnifying glass or a flashlight, and they use it to reveal hidden things within your text. So the link I have here is a teacher. She made a time activity where she had images of a clock and the time. They used the magnifying glass. The students had to think about what time the clock was showing, and they used a magnifying glass. You can see it here in the thumbnail to go over top of the rectangle, and it would reveal the actual time, the correct time, so that the kids could kind of do a self-check. Again, this isn't something that has accountability. It's not something that the kids can say, oh, I got, you have a running record of they got 12 out of 15 or anything like that. This is just simple self-practice, self-check of different things. Some teachers have also used this with, for example, sight words. They take sight words and they put them on pictures, and the words are the same color as the picture. So the kids have to use the magnifying glass or the flashlight to reveal what those sight words are. So if I pull up this blog post that I linked here, just to kind of show you another image of what it could look like. Scroll down. So she gave the kids a math problem here. And when they move the magnifying glass over top of this box, it shows them what the answer to that question is. Because the answer is in the same color as the background, it allows that answer to stay hidden until they bring the item with the different color background into it. And it's all about layers and the order of things and the color of things. But it's just something to make it a little more fun and interactive for the kiddos to do. So she has a really great template linked on her blog that you can grab and play around with, as well as the lady in the video. I believe she links a template to her video as well that you could go in and choose. So again, it's going to be finding that image or that background or filling in the color that you want, picking out your magic reveal tool, and I've linked two that I've created right here. So this flashlight and this magnifying glass right here, you can steal those, you can take those, you can use them to make your own magic reveal. They link directly to a Google drawing and you can just use them. You can make your own copy and use them. And then you type your answers or your words or whatever you're hiding in the same color of the background so that they actually are hidden on your slides. Miss Celeste, what's up?
If you had, you're trying to teach, say, about drugs, and you
Yep.
had it in a document with a lot of little boxes that are supposed to help an ELL learner picture-wise learn.
Mhm.
Could I make one slide like 18 by 30 and do the whole story in there?
Probably.
And
You might want to make it this way, because 18 by 30 this way, because it might fit the screen better. If you make it 18 by 30 this way, there's going to be a lot of scrolling. And it's going to be really small.
okay,
But you could.
I guess
Or
I'm
even
just
do it, or even do it sequentially across like 2 or 3 slides. So they just, you know,
Go one
as they
after
click
another?
one box, and we'll get it when we get to interactive slides. This might be a great place to do that. When they click on something, it sends them to another place in the story.
when we're doing all these lessons with you, you always have your sidebars up.
Yes.
When we're doing it with students, are we supposed to always have our sidebars up, or are we supposed to press present or whatever it is in slides?
Personal preference. I like the sidebar. It allows me to skip back and forth. Like if someone has a question, I like having the sidebar there. Some people don't like having it there, and the only way to turn it off is to go into present mode. But as I said in the beginning, I don't like present mode when I'm on Zoom because it like I can't get to my navigation. Like if I want to skip around, I have to exit it and flip around. I don't like it, but again, that's just personal preference. If that works for you, go for it.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to move on to the next activity. So the next one is interactive manipulatives. And basically what this means is like, if you want kids to count out money, or you want them, it's primarily math-based, I was thinking when I put it together, but you could use it for like word tiles or sorting pictures or putting words and letters into word families or making words with the foundation tiles, things like that. You could totally use that for. The example I have a video of was she was doing a math activity where she wanted the kids to count out the coins to make certain money in the different boxes. A lot of the examples out there have to do with math manipulatives, things like base 10 blocks, coins, counting bears, things like that. But you could do it with anything that the kids need stuff. So again, you would make yourself a background, usually your work mat, so like your place value chart or your sorting cards or your balance beat, whatever you want the kids to put their manipulatives onto. So whatever their work mat that they would normally have on their desk, that's going to be the background of your slide. Then you would insert the picture of the manipulative that you want the kids to use. In the case of the video example, she inserted a picture of a dime, a picture of a nickel, a picture of a quarter. You then pick one of the pictures and you copy and paste it multiple times. So if you're expecting the kids to use, let's say, 5 dimes to complete the whole activity, you want to make more than 5 because chances are the kids are going to backspace or delete them. So they're going to need more than what you actually think they're going to need. So make 15 or 20 of them. And then what you're going to do is within Google Slides, I'm going to pull my toolbar back. You can select items to align themselves vertically and then horizontally. So they stack on top of each other. So it looks like a never-ending stack of something. So I'm going to insert a picture of a dime onto this slide. I'm going to move my video. Insert. Come on, dime. There you are. So I have a dime. I'm going to pull them over to the side. And I'm going to copy and paste him, just Control C and Control V. And when you paste him, he makes this kind of diagonal collection. So I'm going to drag over top of all of them. I don't want all of these things. I just want my dimes. And I'm going to go to Arrange. And I'm going to go to Align. I'm going to align vertically in the center, which puts them all in a column. And then I'm going to arrange, align horizontally in the middle. And now all of those dimes are in one stack. So now when the kids click on it and drag it, there's still a pile of dimes, a pile of manipulatives here for them to come back to. And even if they delete them, there's still a pile there. So when they click on it, they're just getting one. If you want to get all of them, so I don't want this pile of dimes on the corner of my slideshow here. I want to take all of them and I want to move all of them off to the side. So you have to drag on top of them to collect them all at the same time. Because when you click on them, you're just taking the picture that's on the top. And then let's say you moved these two by accident and you want to bring them back, you would just drag them into the area, highlight them all, and again, do the align where you do a line to the center, a line to the middle, and stack them all up again. Okay, so again, there's tips and tricks here for creating your manipulatives. If you have something specific in mind, a shape or a design that you want the kids to use, you can design it yourself and then copy and paste it and put it into your slides. And then you can watch her video for how to do that if you need to see it again. Okay. We'll do one more. So this one's called responsive slides. Some people call it an interactive quiz. And it's kind of like when you do Jeopardy on a slideshow and you have the question up there and you click one place for a right answer and one place for a wrong answer, and it takes you to a specific place within the slideshow. So for this particular example, you're going to have the answer choices. Think of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, where you have the 4 answer choices on the screen. The right answer takes you to a screen that says, yay, you're right. The other 3 choices take you to a screen that might say, no, try again. And then there's an arrow to go back to the question, try again. It might take you to a screen that has a video of how to do this problem, because obviously they weren't able to do it on their own, so they need a little bit more guidance. So based on where they click on the slide, it takes them to a different place based on their answer, and then it'll take them back to the next question after that. So what you're gonna do is similar to the other ones, find your background or your template. There's tons of templates out there for Jeopardy games, interactive quizzes, just Google them up and search them. Then you build in your questions and what you want the response slides to look like, the yay, you did it, or try again. And then you would put your links in there. So if I wanted to, for example, when somebody clicked on this text box, if I wanted them to go to a specific place, I would insert a link. And the shortcut to insert a link is Control K. You can also use the link button up here in your toolbar, but I like the shortcut Control K. And you'll notice the first thing that it gives me is I can link to send someone to a slide in this presentation. If your slides have titles, those titles will pop up next to the slide number. Otherwise, you just kind of have to figure out what slide number it is based on your slider on the side. So if I wanted this text box to send me back to slide 6, I'll get there eventually. Slide 6, I would apply it. And now in present mode, let's see if I can get it. Everybody see that? Celeste, you good? Okay. So when I click on that, it's going to send me back to that other slide. It doesn't automatically advance to the next slide anymore. When I click on that text box, it's going to send me each time back to that slide that I just came from. Okay, so let me stop there.
How do you move on?
So you would click anywhere else. That's why you have to have a right answer and a wrong answer. So the right answer would move them on through the presentation. The wrong answer would kind of cycle them back into that question.
Okay, this is a really dumb question.
No, it's not.
I've come to so many of these, Sarah, that I'm like, everything's kind of, things aren't gelling today.
Okay.
The kids are, okay, this is like the responsive slides.
Mm-hmm.
They're working on this independently at home.
Correct.
They're looking, but it's my Google slides that I have. What do I have to share them with each individual kid in order for them to do a responsive slide with, because they have to answer? I just don't understand.
No, you don't have to. So, I mean, it would be nice to give a copy. Well, you don't want to give a copy to each kid. What you would want to do when you were doing these is you would want to share the link to the present mode. And the way you do that is you copy the link to the, the share, and then you would get the link just like you normally would if you were sharing it with a colleague.
Yeah.
But what you would do is in the link itself, when you go to paste it, where it says edit and anything after edit, you would delete and type the word present. And I have a link to that I'll share at the end of in the chat of how to force the slideshow to be in present mode so that the kids can't see the slider at that point. They can't sit there and say, oh, I'm just going to skip it and move on to the next one. They have to keep going through the slides and going through the process to do it.
How will you do that again?
You change what the actual link says.
But how are you going to show us how to do that, you said?
I'm going to put a link to a video or directions. I'll put it in the chat, and I'll also link it to the end of the slides.
Okay.
Sorry, it's just, I don't really understand it. So the students are each,
So you're not going to send it out as...
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
You're not going to send it out as an assignment, like where you attach it and make a copy for each kid. You're not going to send it out like that. You can still make it an assignment, but when you make it an assignment, you're going to make it a link, not a Google Drive file share thing. It's just going to be a link.
Okay, and the link allows them to, like, will I be able to see their results?
No, there's no results for this. It's just a self-check.
Oh, okay.
There's
I
no
think
tracking.
that's where I was caught up on that.
Yeah, no.
How am I seeing all their different results? I see.
No, there's no tracking for this. This is just a self-check.
I see. Okay, I finally got that.
Thanks for asking, because I didn't get it.
No, that's what we're here for. Anything else before I move on to the next one? And I think I skipped one, so I'm gonna have to go backwards. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again. All right, and to pop backwards, we skipped over hyperdocs. Hyperdocs are similar to a choice board or a learning menu, but it's more of a repository of resources. I know a lot of teachers have started using them when we kind of shifted to remote. They wanted their kids to have access to all of the stuff, all of the content that went along with the topic that they were teaching. So this can be a collection of the videos that you're using, the worksheets that you want the kids to fill out, the websites that you want them to visit, the articles that you want them to read. So this doesn't necessarily have to be stuff to do or things that they need to complete, but it's just kind of a place. So think of it as those file folders in your filing cabinet. When you pull it out and you want to teach a unit on the American Revolution, all of your resources that you're planning to use for the American Revolution are in that file folder. You still have to go make copies of them at the copy machine. You still have to pull them up and project them with your document camera, but all of this stuff is in one place. And that's what this hyperdoc is. It's a place to keep all of the stuff that you want the kids to have access to for that topic or that unit. So again, you're gonna set up your template. This can be in Google Slides or it can be in Google Docs or any platform that you like. It just depends on what you're most familiar with. You type in your text and your directions and your information about the things that you're giving them, and then you just make each of those different components the link that you want it to go to. So the yellow box here is a helpful website about hyperdocs in particular. She has a ton of templates and tutorials and ideas of how to use them. And then over here are a couple of examples. So the first one is a 4th grade unit about the Southwest region of the United States. So it gives some different things. These are just informational things to kind of build background and kind of get the kids started and give them information. This talks about using their textbook, and it gives them a link to online resources that they might need to use. It gives them a notes page, just a link to a blank Google Doc where they can take down their notes. Here's an activity. So this was an activity they were supposed to fill out. It also links to a Padlet board that the teacher was using to collect ideas and share thoughts. Then there was some other scrapbook activity here, another activity, something they had to do. And then they talked about sharing, how they would share that with each other, one another in the class. Another one was digital tools. This was created for one of my classes with a group, so it gave an introductory activity. Each kid was assigned a different Google tool that they had to become an expert in. And then they were given an assessment activity and a collaboration activity. So everything is linked directly to where the teacher wants them to go to learn about this stuff, and then where they need to go to show their learning. And then finally, there's one more for text structures. This again came from that group of teachers in Norton. And it said, these are the different text structures we're going to be studying. Here are your learning links. So they click here to learn about each of these different things. There we go, scrolling. Here's videos and things that they were supposed to watch, or songs that they were supposed to listen to, and they had to type out the things that they learned. Okay. So they had different tasks. So when they watched the video, they were supposed to fill in this box and make it green. And then down here, these were their IXL activities that they were to complete, showing that they understood each of these concepts. So with a hyperdoc, it's not necessarily giving students a choice of what they're supposed to be doing. This is what they're doing, but it gives them all of the tools that they need to complete those tasks in one place. So they're not opening up this link and then going here and then it's sending them there. Everything's in one document or one set of slides. So they know if they close the wrong thing, they can come back to here and get all of those links that they need again. All right. So interactive forms are, I like to think of these. Yep, what's up?
Sorry, Sarah. Was it the?
You're cutting out, sorry. I lost you, there you are. You're frozen, Astrid. If you want to type your thing in the chat, maybe I can get it that way. I don't know what's going on with your video, love. What's up, Celeste?
Question just on the hyperdocs. Do you recommend slides or docs?
I've done both. I think for this particular thing, it's two things. Do you want it more linear or do you want it more spatial? And two, what are you more comfortable with? So when I do them, I like them very linear so that it kind of goes down through the process. But if you just need like blocks of stuff, then slides works too. So it's personal preference. All right, I'm gonna wait for Astrid to come back and we will keep going. Find my slides, they disappeared. All right, so interactive forms are kind of like a choose your own adventure book. So you're gonna take your story and you know that your story is gonna go in a bunch of different directions based on what the students are choosing. So the most important tip I can say for this one is to plan out where your different things are going to send you. So we know that when you do a choose your own adventure book, it's very hard to choose the same path when you're presented with the different options. Like this one's gonna send you to page 5 and this one's gonna send you to page 27. It's very hard to make the first choice somehow merge back up with the second choice because there's all different choices after that. So it's very difficult to bring it all back together. You want a concrete plan of where each choice is going to send you. And once you have that, all you need to do is open up a form, start embedding your questions. And then once you have those questions next to each of the multiple choice answers, you can send the person to a specific section of the form based on which answer they choose. And I'll show you what that looks like. There you go. Maybe. All right, let's try something different. I think I'm frozen again. All right, we're gonna try this. Forms. Well, that's loading. So I have 3 examples here because each of them was a little bit different. The first example shows how to take a self-correcting quiz or a self-tutoring quiz. And basically what that means is when the students are filling out this form, if they choose the wrong answer, it sends them to a video or a picture that shows them how to figure out that question. So they picked the wrong answer, and now we're going to show you how you're supposed to do this question and get you to the right answer. And then they would move on to the next question of the quiz or the test. This one, I'm trying to remember what this one was. Come on. So this was again, a similar thing, but he's a little more teacher friendly. This is the Practical Ed Tech Tools guy. I like his videos. I thought this guy did a great job of explaining what you were trying to do. He did a better job of explaining how to do it. And then the final video is it actually is a choose your own adventure story. So you could task your students with creating their own choose your own adventure story and show them how to do this, because students have access to forms as well. So they're able to go in and create their own forms and build their own stories and own paths, just like we can. In my form.
How do you send people to different starting points?
Yep. So that's what I just pulled up. It was taking forever to load.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So I got a bunch of stuff popping up all over the place. All right.
Can I ask one other one before you do that?
Yeah, please.
And
Yeah.
also, how much prep, like would I need to do a Loom on how to create a interactive form adventure for my students before I ask them to go create one?
Yep. So that was something I was going to talk about at the end. For any of these types of activities, you probably want to create a video showing the kids how to do this, because almost all of these activities are not your typical in-class activities or activities you've probably done up until now, with the exception of something like the choice boards or the learning menus or even the hyperdocs. But you may need to set up a video saying what your expectations are. Like you need to get 40 points or you need to do 5 activities. So you want to make sure that the students know what your expectation is. And for some of the other ones, you're going to have to show them how to do this stuff, because it's probably not stuff that they've done before. So I need to add another section. All right, so when you're in forms, you have this toolbar over here on the side. The plus sign is to add questions. This kind of funky equal sign down here at the bottom, this is to add sections. So if you've ever noticed and you're on a form where it asks you to fill out a question and then at the bottom, you go to almost another page of questions, those are sections. So each one of these sections is a new page within the form itself, within the quiz or whatever we're gonna call it. Document that the students are going to be filling out. All right, so I've given mine 3 sections. And I'm going to give them each a question within them. So we'll call this one question 10 so that it really stands out. We'll call this section 30, so it doesn't get lost in the numbers. So what you do up here when you have a question, you're going to give them their choices, yes and no. I'm going to go to the 3 dots, and then based on their section answer, so I'm picking the choice, go to a section based on answer. If they choose the answer yes, they're going to go to section 2. If they choose the answer no, they're going to go to section 30. And that's going to send them wherever I want them to go in the quiz. And the way I can figure that out and the way I can kind of test it is when I do the eyeball to preview it, it says, okay, I'm going to say no. And then I'm going to answer the rest of the questions. I hit next, and it totally skips over section 2 and sends me straight to section 30, which was the special section that I named for the no. So each time I set up a new section, it takes a lot of work. It takes some time to figure out where you want the students to go and to embed all of those questions. But it self-directs them to the different things that are going on within your form, whether it's a tutorial video, a picture of someone who's written out how to get to the answer of it, someone who has shown them how to walk through a particular process that maybe they didn't get right in the question. But a lot of times it's a way for them to kind of learn from their mistakes. They've already picked out the answer. They already said this is what they think the answer is. Now you're showing them what the right answer is, or sending them on a different storyline. Questions. That's probably the most complicated one of them all. It takes a lot of work to get set up in the beginning. Astrid.
Yeah. Hi, Sarah, I'm back. Sorry, yeah, it just had to do with the HyperDocs.
Yeah.
You said that somebody had like a really good presentation of it. Was it the Bitly interactive MPS? Is that where I find it?
So the Bitly interactive MPS are these slides. So yes, if you put that in, you'll have all of the links and videos from these slides.
And does this show the previous slides like for last week as well?
Nope. So the second link, the one that says website link, those are the slides and the videos from all of the summer sessions.
Website link.
Yep,
Where do I find the website link?
I can put them in again. They're in the chat, but if you got kicked
Oh.
out, they're probably not there anymore.
Hold on, I'll go to the chat. Thank
There
you.
you go. So the presentation are just these slides. The website is everything from the summer.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Sarah, is it
Questions.
to ask one more time to show us, just really brief,
Which
the
one?
interactive form, like how you just did that? Just one quick,
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Nope, you're fine. Let me get out of here because we don't want to.
I get the sections,
Uh-huh.
your setup sections,
Uh-huh.
and you really need to know what, based on their answer, like you were saying, what section you're going to send them to. So you almost need like this big roadmap on paper.
Exactly. Yes. And that's what I've seen. Anybody who's ever made one of these, that's what they've done. They've made something on paper where they've drawn out where the different branches are going.
I'm just stuck on how you know, how you put that go to 2 or go to 30. That's where I got
Sure.
stuck.
So I have my question. I have all of my destinations already built in here. So here's destination 1. Here's destination 2. I'm even going to call these if yes. And this one will say if no, right? So up here in my
Are
question.
you sharing your screen?
No. Thank you.
Oh, I was like, where am I looking?
I totally forgot. It's all good.
Oh,
All right.
thank you.
Let's do that again. All right, here's my form. I have a question. My answer choices are yes and no. And then I built a section that says, if yes, this is where I want them to go. And if no, this is where I want them to go, right?
That's what I didn't get.
So I made 2 new sections. These are sections. I used the equal bar over here, and then I put a new question in. And you don't have to put a question in. You can just leave it as a section header if it's just like text, just stuff that you want them to know. You can put images straight in here from wherever, and you can put YouTube videos straight in here. So if you don't need a question, you don't have to put one in here. So if you're just sending them, for example, to a video tutorial of how to do this, you don't have to put a question. You can actually get rid of this question.
And do a
Put an
link
image.
or an image.
Yep, put an image straight in here. Let's see what we're gonna look for. Put this one in. All right, so that's in there. It's gonna go and then it's gonna keep going. Okay, so what I did in my question where my starting point is. So based on the answer to this question, they're gonna go one of 2 places.
Yep.
So I go to the 3 dots right here at the bottom next to where it says required.
Yeah.
I click the second choice, the one that says go to section. And then when I do that, this new little kind of menu pops up here next to each answer choice. So if they say yes,
Yes.
I'm gonna, if yes. If they say no, if no.
That's what I needed. Thank you.
Yep. So then if I preview it, they're thinking, they click yes, they hit next. It takes them right to that picture of, oh, this is how I do it. Now I get it. And then they can go on to the next part of your form or your document. If they said no,
You're gonna go to the if no
it
video.
skips over that picture because they don't need that picture and takes them right into the next question of the quiz.
So if you had a question and if yes, you don't really want them to go somewhere, you just want them to go to the next question.
Correct.
If it's a no, you maybe want to teach them something if that was the wrong answer.
Correct.
Because otherwise, if both of them send you somewhere, how do you get them to question number 2?
Correct. So the one who got the answer right is going to go directly to question 2.
Got
The
it.
one who got the answer wrong is going to go to the video, and then the video is going to send them to question 2.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
That is complicated, but thanks.
Yeah, it is. It takes a little bit of work to figure out where they're going to go and how to link everything up in the right order. Okay. All right. I've got one more. And this one came up from actually a science teacher at the high school. So Google Drawings is basically Microsoft Paint. So if you've ever played around with Paint on the computer, this is basically the same thing, just in Google. And what it allows you to do, or your students to do, is you can draw on the screen. You can pull images up, you can do the auto shapes, you can do the arrows, you can do text, you can design things, you can manipulate things, you can do all of that within Google Drawings. So the question that came up from this particular teacher is they were making their workbook pages digital, like we talked about in the first type of activity, but they had a bunch of incomplete graphs that in the workbook, the students were supposed to look at the picture of the graph and then finish the projection of the line within the graph axes. And she wasn't really sure how to do that. So the solution that I came up with, that I've been playing around with her, is having those pictures of the graph be an image in Google Drawings. And then when the kids click on them, it sends them to that image in Google Drawings, and they can then use the pen or the line feature within Google Drawings to amend it and kind of put in their own line of where they think the rest of the graph is going to go. And then it'll save itself back into the worksheet that the teachers have created for them to fill out. For younger kids, you can also have the students make their own drawing. Maybe you're asking them to illustrate a story, or you're asking them to follow a dictated drawing, or you want them to illustrate a process or something that they've done with their learning, and you want to actually see what they were thinking and what they've done. You can do that in Google Drawings as well. And then there's a video here just to kind of get familiar with the drawing tools and how the program itself works. So, and then I'll put the links that we were talking about, the how to use the snipping tool, how to do a forced present of a slideshow. I'll put those at the end of here. They're not there right now, but I will add them. So that's my slides. If you have questions, if you want to talk about anything in particular or specifically, I'm happy to do that. If you're done and you've gotten everything you want to get out of this presentation, feel free to click off, but I am sticking around for a few more minutes to answer questions as you guys have them. So Astrid, you have one.
Yes, for Google Drawings, do they automatically have that if they go to like the Google Classroom or Google?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So if the main jumping off point that I typically have students do is go to Drive. If you go to Google Drive and then you click on the create button or the new button, I forget, what does it say? I think it says new. They get new folder, file upload, folder upload, and then it starts listing the apps. If it's not listed right there in the top 3 or 4, there's a more button. And when they click more, it opens up another menu, and that's where Forms is. I think that's where Drawings is. I think that's where Sites is. So all of those kind of not major ones, they're over there on the side. But kids actually love Google Drawings because they sit there and play with it just like we used to in Computer Lab with Microsoft Paint.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Bob, what's up?
Hi, Sarah. For the interactive forms, is there a template that we can just edit where someone's already done all of the thinking for me and I can just go in and edit it rather than having to create?
I can look around. I know that there are templates for similar ideas in slides, but I'll look around and see if there's a template in Forms.
Thank you.
Yep. Celeste.
in the Google Drawings, if you did a survey with your students and asked them to collect data, would you create a slide that has a background that's non-movable with your Y and X axis and then let them like draw the answers from the results of the survey? Is that an idea?
Absolutely. You could totally do that.
You could do that.
What you would want to do though is you would want to have your axes be an image. So most likely something you can find online, because graphing axes are pretty easy to find online. So
Right.
find a picture, put that picture in a Google drawing and share the Google drawing with them so that they can then draw it, and then they would take that Google drawing and put it into a slide for you.
So I would take my Command Shift 4, take a picture of it off the internet,
Yep.
then send it to them as a make a copy for each student.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Hi, Kate.
Hi, how are you?
What's up?
So a lot of my worksheets, I only want part of the worksheet to be the background, and I want
Okay.
the other part of the worksheet to be the drag and drop.
Okay.
If I put it on the slide as an
You're talking about
image-
like the cut and paste type activities.
yeah.
Okay.
If I put it on the slide as the image and then crop it, is there a way to make it the background after you crop it? Like I
So
have
what-
an image selected and the background button goes away.
So what I would recommend you do then is, instead of snipping the whole picture, the whole worksheet, only take the piece that you want to actually be the background. So when you do the initial snipping or the initial picture taking, only grab the piece you want and crop it before you put it in as the background. Because once it's the background, you can't crop it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
But it's still only part of the worksheet. So then once I crop it and make it the background, isn't gonna put it on the whole slide? Where I only want part of it there.
Yes. Nope. So you're going to do that. And then what you're going to do are the pieces that they're cutting out, like the piece that's typically along the bottom that they cut out and then paste wherever they're supposed to paste it. You can either put them on the side. Usually you put them on the side because when you open up a slide, you know how you can kind of see the back around the slide.
Right. But is the cropped piece gonna get bigger to the slide? When
It's
I
gonna
change
fit
it
the
to a
slide.
background? It's gonna
Yeah,
fit
it's
the
going to
slide,
fit the slide.
rather than leaving a space below it.
So a lot of times what teachers do when they want the movable pieces, they'll either, for example, what you could do is you could snip the piece that you want, put it as an image, not a background, put it as an image on a slide, you know, fill it up however much you want so that part of your slide is empty, and then save that as a picture and then put that as your background.
Ah, got it.
Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Complicated, but
Is there a way to copy a slide too? So if I was doing like a CVC picture with all the letters and they're all aligned for that drag and drop, can I copy that one slide? Will all those drag and drops copy
yes, they will.
the piles?
Yes, they all come with it.
So I just copy the slide and then.
Yep, just duplicate it and then it'll be there, and then you can either change that background or change that whatever you got going on, but all of those manipulatives will copy into each slide that you've duplicated.
Thank you.
Yep. Astrid, what's up?
What Caitlin was talking about, is that something that you were talking about today, or is that something you talked about last week? Because I'm interested in learning more about that, so I can go, I obviously I have to go back and look at it.
So it's a combination of two things. It's a combination of the fillable worksheets. So the one where you take a picture of the worksheet and put it in as the background. So that's the first step. And then the second step is the manipulatives, the piles of letter tiles or dimes or big 10 blocks, whatever you're doing.
And was that mentioned today, or was that like a different
Yep.
day? That was
So
today,
that
okay.
is, where is it? It's the 7th slide of today's presentation.
Thank you, so I can
Yep.
go back, okay.
Yep. Yep, Kate.
How do I make my slide an image?
So you have your worksheet on your slide and you have the space where you want the pieces to go. So go to File, Download, and then choose PNG.
Got it.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Sarah.
Of course, anytime. Good to
Bye,
see you.
everyone. Good to see you.
Bye.
Thank you, Sarah, so much.
Thank you.
Anytime. If that's it, I'm gonna go ahead and end the meeting. So
Thank
thanks,
you.
Thank
guys.
you.
Have a good afternoon.
You
Thank you.
too.